Welcome to another episode of Inside Baseball Travarian Miniatures Edition, where we talk about what happens behind the scenes of this channel. Brought to you by Factor. Stay tuned to find out how this miniature painting creator spends his time mostly not on miniature painting, and why this isn't a sustainable way to run this channel moving forward. When I started doing this full time, I said I'll keep doing it as long as I can make just about as much as I would with the teaching job that I left behind. Because obviously it's fun to be your own boss and more or less be doing what you enjoy. And let's be honest, there's much worse jobs than painting toy soldiers for a living. And all that thanks to you watching the videos, recommending them to others, interacting with them on all kinds of levels, and mostly all of those who joined the Patreon and YouTube members. So thanks a lot for that. But we have to talk about the future of the channel, and it's not an easy video for me to make because there's a few issues that I have to fix if I want to keep going, and I don't see a solution for all of these issues. At least not yet. When things go wrong and your mind is occupied with fixing these setbacks, it's hard to be creative and think about video ideas. But then I thought, wait a minute, I don't have to pretend like everything is always great and this here is only about miniature painting, when the real story is how much running a mini painting channel alone is not about miniature painting. When I started doing this full time, that was already true. But there's a few reasons why my uploads have slowed down recently, and becoming a parent was the biggest factor in all of that. He doesn't care if a video has to come out, he wants to spend time with you, and frankly, so do I. So I only get 8 hours of work in every day with getting him to daycare and all the other important things. Now wait a minute, only 8 hours of work you say, and I know that sounds insane, but that's significantly less time than before. I would usually start working at 6 in the morning and doing 12, 13 hours each day to be able to handle the workload would just be the norm. And I only just now realize how unhealthy that was, even though a lot of it is not that straining, but that's still a lot of hours each work and not sustainable over years. Also, holy crap, these tiny humans are blessed by Nurgle all the time. I've never been sick so much in my life like I was in the past 2 years. Another thing, and this is where the Inside Baseball starts, videos that do well on YouTube need to be a bit sensational in one form or the other. It's a bit of an arms race for views. Bigger, better, faster, like to reach a bigger audience that doesn't know you. What do you think? Which title is better? The descriptive painting a Dark Oath warrior title, or a slightly mysterious I wish I knew about this hobby product earlier, or even painting the most expensive Warhammer mini ever? One is very niche and doesn't promise a lot, while the other is potentially interesting to every miniature painter out there, and the third will even draw in non-hobbyists. Always having to come up with an idea that can be packaged as something spectacular, new and innovative, so your channel doesn't die, is draining. It's like constantly having to do small talk when you're an introvert. It's that level of exhausting. I bet you know what I mean. Nerd. You constantly have to oversell everything, starting from the idea of the video to creating a thumbnail that will be clicked. But if you don't play that game, not enough people click the video, it doesn't get pushed to new audiences, old viewers fall off, and your channel dies. Now, can this be turned around? Stay tuned. Our story continues after a 90 seconds commercial. Your days are always busy and it's hard to fit in the time to prepare a proper meal. This is where Factor 75 comes in. With Factor, I don't have to plan what I could eat all week, I don't have to shop for groceries, and I also don't need to prepare every breakfast, lunch or dinner. I can just grab a healthy snack or heat a chef-prepared meal in 2 minutes so I can go right back to what I love to do. Factor supports your lifestyle and nutritional choices. You can choose your meals with a focus on protein, limit your calories, or even make every meal fit a ketogenic diet plan. Or you can mix and match and choose the best of everything from 34+ meal options each week and 36+ add-ons like smoothies, keto shakes or desserts. And as you can see, if you're using my link, you can grab a 50% discount on your first box, and that means you can get a meal for less than $6.50, which makes this offer an insane value and almost a no-brainer to try it. There's nothing to lose here. Why not grab a box full of great food for a massive discount? That means you'll get 50% off of your first Factor box and 20% off of your next month of orders if you are using my link in the description, or scanning the QR code means you can grab up to 5 boxes of Factor at a discount. The worst part of YouTube is seeing that soul-crushing 10/10 performance. Not in a good way, that's a 10 out of 10. No, it means the video finished dead last. And that leads to spending days frantically creating thumbnails, just hoping you'll hit a nerve and get people invested in a fraction of a second when they see it. I feel like a thumbnail designer more than a miniature painter right now. I learned more about psychology, hooks, screen contrast, simplicity, and so on than I did about miniature painting in the last few years. And that leads us into how my time is divided between painting and other activities. I looked at it for a month and the result is really depressing. This is roughly how it looks. Let's say I get to work 40 hours per week, that's 160 hours a month. I get to paint about 8 hours of that. Yes, that's 8 hours out of 160. Brainstorming videos clocked in at about 5 hours. Correspondence, answering emails, running after packages that don't get delivered, and answering viewer questions took up about 6 hours, and that was a slow month. 123 hours went into editing in the last 30 days. 84% of my time is spent editing, creating thumbnails and PDFs. 11% of my time I deal with administrative stuff, and only 5% of my time goes into painting. It's mind-boggling. With all that time spent on editing, why aren't there more videos on my channel? The reason is that I also need to create Patreon content, because here's a breakdown of my income. Without Patreon, the channel wouldn't exist, as it constitutes about 40% of revenue together with YouTube members. And that's not just people that want to support the YouTube videos. A lot of them are also paying for the in-depth videos. So I have to keep up with that. Then the other 40% is company sponsorships, and only about 15% comes from AdSense, and a bit more than 4% through affiliate links. So if I stop doing Patreon content, the YouTube channel just stops existing. And if I don't acquire sponsors for videos, the channel is dead too. And what this means is my attention is divided between Patreon and YouTube. And it's kind of funny because I still get all kinds of YouTube comments about what a sellout I am and that I'm only doing YouTube for the money. But if I only did it for the money, I would ditch YouTube completely and just focus on Patreon, free up about 70% of editing time and having a proper work-life balance on top. And all of that while probably making 3 times as much as I make now with this divided model. But I don't want to do that because I enjoy reaching a lot of people and hopefully showing them the joy of mini painting. And that's worth more to me than money. So why not ditch the divided model and just focus on YouTube? And the truth is, I thought about that, but I quickly ran into a problem because all the Patreon money would have to be substituted with sponsored video ads. But here's why that's not possible. Sponsorship income is not infinitely scalable because it depends on how many views you get. I've talked to a couple of other creators, and it's a fact that I'm only making about a third of what other channels of similar size and view count make per sponsored ad. And you could argue that I'm selling myself short all the time and I should just ask for more. But I did that. I tried starting to negotiate at the amounts other creators make, usually followed by being ghosted. And I don't quite get it. The only clue I got was some companies mentioning that my US audience is just not big enough, and most big advertisers are targeting that US market especially. All the creators I talk to about how much they make are from the US too, so maybe they are more relatable to that target audience and have more US-based viewers therefore, so they can target a bigger share of that market. But I don't know, and ultimately it doesn't matter. Ultimately, what it means for my channel is that I have to look for a lot more sponsors and really make sure I have an ad spot in every single video. If I had the possibility to earn what others do from sponsorships, I just have one monetized video per month and the others would just say ad-free. Because just like everyone, I don't like watching integrations in videos. So on top of having to invest time into finding sponsors and emailing back and forth a lot, I'm also very meticulous at vetting potential sponsors because there's a lot of morally doubtful companies out there that I don't necessarily want to promote. Timo is an example of a company that flooded YouTube creators with a lot of money lately, which personally I turned down because I wasn't comfortable promoting them. I want to keep my integrity intact as much as possible and not change who I am simply for monetary gain by accepting offers by every trash company that approaches me. So as mentioned, time is a big factor here, and I would love to just record painting sessions and put a lot more videos out there for you to enjoy. But the truth is, I'm practically an editor and not a miniature painter at this point. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy editing. After all, it's a form of expression too. But if I could outsource it, I would just be able to release so many more videos. So why are you not doing exactly that, I hear you say? Well, the fact is, I tried, and none of the editors I sent my material to could make it work. I want my videos at their core to be educational videos where I try to explain as much as possible, ideally through visuals and showing what I mean. And it's hard for someone that doesn't paint or doesn't have enough experience with painting to make some of the connections. It would be different if I just made funny videos about painting large projects and documenting what happens with some shaky camera footage, and close-ups don't matter. But you kind of need to see the process of my videos up close to understand what I'm doing. Bottom line is, no one can edit my videos, so I'm stuck with having to spend the time myself. Another thing that has been frustrating ever since is that I'm not getting things on time. I'm in the Games Workshop Creator Program, and it has been a godsend for a while. It's not really Games Workshop's fault that it went downhill. They have been nothing but supportive, but the carrier, namely UPS, that they send with is abysmal here in Austria. Any package with samples is usually stuck for at least a week at the UPS import and customs office, and most of the time it's a lot longer. I'm lucky if I even get the package before the embargo date ends. And now and then I have some comment like, boo-hoo, you get stuff for free, cry me a river, and that's fair, but if I didn't get these samples, I would make different videos. However, I am in the program and I like the minis Games Workshop produces, so why would I not make videos about the stuff that excites me anyway? Again, if I wasn't in the program, I would not buy all of these boxes because I simply couldn't afford to. I would probably stick to Space Marines and Necrons, my favorite armies, but that would also make the videos a lot more monotonous and probably boring. Instead, having access to a variety of minis just helps with showing more diverse painting approaches and techniques. Simply going from sci-fi to a fantasy setting often changes the approach and the context. Also, I'm not going to lie, it helps that I do not have to spend money on these boxes because sometimes they do cost as much as the video makes in AdSense, and it only takes elementary level math skills to understand that that is not sustainable. But yeah, if I get these boxes 3 days before the embargo date ends, then that's a little stressful to squeeze a video out in that time frame. And that's also why you never see me in any of these community posts, because the deadlines for submissions are usually a week before the embargo date, and most of the time I simply don't even have the minis by the time you have to submit the final photos. And occasionally Games Workshop's logistics department files the wrong paperwork for parcels, like it happened with my Skaven type box, and then the parcel is stuck in customs, and if I'm lucky, UPS will notify me that they need additional paperwork, but most of the time they don't give a f and just don't contact me, and the package just goes back to the UK. So usually that's a video or two that I'm not making, or making 3 months too late when no one cares anymore. All of that just takes away planning security, because of course I look at the contents of the Skaven type box and I collect ideas of which videos to make with the minis that are in there up front. And planning videos takes time, so I cannot come up with another idea on the fly to replace the video that I couldn't make. Another thing that happened was half a year ago, I was upgrading my space, and now everything is ceiling mounted. I also got a new camera with a lens that could shoot further back while still being an update as far as picture quality goes. And of course, I set up all the mounts and lights specifically for this camera. But that 2,000 euro piece of equipment just broke overnight and I had to send it in. Amazon lost the insurance request, so that was a lot of wasted time and energy on the phone and a lot of sweating trying to get that back on track and not resulting in a 2K loss. But what is even worse is that I was without a proper setup for a month. I still do have my old camera, but none of the lenses I have are working with the setup I installed. The mount simply is too far back and the picture size is about twice as small because of that. And all of that results in a quality decrease, and that stresses me out. And that leads me to another big factor that creates stress for me. I want to deliver quality with everything I do. I think I owe it to the viewer to give 100%, whether that's when it comes to vetting sponsors or making sure the edits are not boring, making sure the pacing is right while I speak, that the painting is in focus, the sound is good, and so on. All of that means I'm having trouble following the famous 80-20 rule, where about 80% of your effectiveness takes about 20% of time investment, but the last 20% take 80% of your time. And I'm having a hard time cutting corners and letting these last 20% go, or even just the last 10%. So that's why I haven't been uploading a lot lately. I'm trying to fix all of this. I'm in touch with an editor locally. Maybe that works out. I'm trying to build smarter schedules for my work days and being more efficient with everything. And that's probably a character weakness of mine. I'm very bad mentally at dealing with setbacks. I want to go to my workspace, keep my head down for 8 hours, and having to deal with a lot of other non-creative things in between destroys my capacity for creativity. It always takes me a while to let go of the administrative hassle and getting back into creative groove. And lately, it all has been a bit overwhelming. But I try to persist and keep the channel going. We'll see if that works out. So yeah, a bit of an unusual peek behind the scenes. Hope it gave you some insight. Thanks for watching Inside Baseball. Goodbye and good luck.